Viewer discretion is advised.
The next day, just don't tell them about neuropathy. Next I moved. Paul was with me once when I first fucked my first faggot.
Nigga, what?
And he's been holding that over my head for 2 years. I fucked a faggot. I just want to say it now so nobody else can tell.
This nigga good.
I liked it. I would have married him, but he had to go away and get an operation. I'd like to move now, Pop. You know, but I love her dearly. Next to her is what we call Miss Thing. We call him that with love and affection, as all of us know. Well, he hasn't let us down yet, has he? We've been friends a long time, and I sure wish he'd return my red handkerchief. My wife been wondering where it was. I hope it still has her perfume scent on it. But really, Paul, it's really been a pleasure working with you because we worked together many years ago on the Red Fox show. We started writing together, and we walked into the office with the white man, and Paul what he did was sucked his dick.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Cypher Supreme TV back with another video. This particular video, man, is going to be a tough one for me. This is about one of my top 2 favorite comedians all time, man. Paul Mooney and Richard Pryor. Now, we all heard about the controversy surrounding why Paul Mooney canceled his shows in Atlanta because of the allegations of Richard Pryor's old security guard or bodyguard said that Paul Mooney had sexual relations or molested Richard Pryor's son, Richard Pryor Jr., allegedly. Also, he talked about how everyone knew that Paul Mooney has been on the down low for many, many years, and also indicated that Richard Pryor was as well. Also in this interview, he had said that Richard Pryor had put a $1 million hit on Paul Mooney behind the fact that he had did something to his child. And the only reason why Paul Mooney is alive today is because Richard Pryor had an incident where he caught himself on fire. And after that happened to Richard, he kind of changed his mind, or he just let it be. He changed his life around in the way he thought was a little bit different after that particular incident. Now, this video is titled Richard Pryor, Paul Mooney Gay, but it's not necessarily surrounding that. You know, we know Quincy Jones had snitched on Richard Pryor a couple years ago, saying that Richard Pryor had sexual relations with Marlon Brando, and that he was infatuated with Marlon Brando, and they were having sex for quite a while. They had almost a relationship. But the part I'm really focused on is the disgusting behavior, allegedly, of Paul Mooney possibly having sexual relations with an innocent child. Now, TMZ had caught up with Richard Pryor Jr. not too long ago and asked him about the allegations. He did say that he was molested as a child, but he didn't particularly say that Paul Mooney was the one who molested him. he didn't want to answer questions about Paul, but he did say, in fact, that there was some molestation going on as a child. Now, they said that they had relations when he was a young adult, so it don't really count as being a molestation if that in fact happened. I don't know if it was a consensual or whatever the case may be, if it in fact ever happened at all. But they according to Richard Pryor's bodyguard, he said that he had done that multiple times to Richard Pryor a long, long time ago, even as Richard Pryor was maybe as young as like maybe 8 or 9. And that's a shocker to me because, like I said, Paul Mooney was a comic that I really enjoyed. I enjoy his comedy. I enjoy Richard Pryor's comedy as well. So it's not a knock on them being on a down low or whatever the case may be. We know Richard Pryor always joked about homosexuals. Paul Mooney even talked against homosexuals in some of his comedy. And a lot of comedians have came to his defense years ago about when people were surfacing rumors about Paul Mooney's sexuality, saying that, nah, no way, man, Paul ain't gay. You know, Paul got children and a family and this, that, and the third. But we all know that don't mean nothing. A lot of people say, you know, by his, you know, demeanor and some of the ways how he carries himself, people always thought that about Paul. I didn't really think that about Paul or Richard Pryor until like I had saw that roast. It's some old footage when he was talking the way he was talking, and him really openly saying, but in a joking way, that he had sex with some guy, and Paul Mooney was there. But that's neither here or there. It would be a shame to find out that Paul Mooney did such a disgusting act. And it's also a shame that all these years, this is just now coming out. Richard Pryor Jr. has never came out and said it. But all of a sudden, his security guard, who sent this nigga? Who paid this nigga? I don't know if he jealous and mad and finally coming out because he old. Maybe he wanted to fuck Paul Mooney himself. I don't know. Sound like it. You know, I just find it odd now that Paul Mooney's older and all these things are coming out, and it's coming out towards the end of his career and in his golden years and shit like that. I find it odd. You know, what did he do for these allegations to come out? I just don't get it, man. And if it in fact happened, why did it take this long for somebody to stand up and say something all these years about Paul Mooney, about what Paul Mooney allegedly had done to Richard Pryor's son? And why haven't Richard Pryor's son just manned up and said, hey, either say, hey, when I was a young adult, we had relations, or, yeah, that was the dude that molested me sexually. You know what I'm saying? The truth will come out. And if Richard Pryor Jr. confirms it, I'll believe him. You know, I will believe him. And will justice be served behind it? I don't know. Statute of limitation or whatever the case may be. But, the truth always comes out eventually, man. The truth comes out whether it's many years later or immediately. What's y'all guys' thoughts on this? I personally would never look at Paul Mooney the same if it's in fact true. And I'd be devastated that it happened, but more so devastated for a man who had to go through his whole life in silence about something like this happening to him. But, all jokes aside, and all the other stuff, as of right now, Richard Pryor will still be my favorite comedian. But if Paul Mooney done what he done, I would never look at this monster the same way. And I would disown this dude, period. That's all I got to say about this, man. Peace and blessings. Like, share, subscribe. I'm out.